Good morning, good afternoon, and a very happy Monday, guys. Hope you're out having a good day. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. And yes, the change in time did absolutely mess me up. I completely forgot that, that the US had a time change. So it's okay. I remembered and went back and changed it to the correct start time. So hope you're having a good one. Today I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dave Bob. Good morning.
Good morning. How is everybody doing out there? Good God, would they quit changing the freaking time?
For some reason, I thought it had already changed, and obviously it hadn't. And I was like, "This is wrong. Let's get back." I was like, "Damn it!" I thought I was on top of things, but I wasn't. But it's okay. We got there in the end.
Yeah.
Let me say hello to everybody because we have got a great chat. As always, we have got Snorterpoopers Cuba. Hello. We've got Brandon the Anime. Good morning. We've got Deepbud Martin. Great to see you. We've got the lovely Gum Bunny. Hello, sweetheart. Zax. Zax did so well yesterday. We are so proud of him. Congratulations, Zax. Let's see, we've got upon him his minion. Hello, honey. We've got Daniel. Great to see you, as always. A big thank you to Brandon, the anime guy, who has joined. Let me see. Let's see. He's upgraded. Thank you so much, Brandon. Really appreciate that. And we have also got a member chat from NB Geek. Good morning, Jesse. Great to see you. He says, yes, 1 year and the time zone sucks. I hate it. It always confuses me, but it is great to see you as always. So thank you, guys. We have got also Dave G's sound. Good morning. Great to see you. We've got Dave Bob. Hey, Dave Bob. Let's see, we're not missing anybody. Let me scroll up. I know I saw Archer Conning. Good afternoon, Archer. Good to see you as always. We've got Psychodorf 9. Good morning, love. We've got Keely Chow, Roll Tide Keely. D-Bud Martin, hello, my love. Great to see you as always. And we've got Manowar 665, Neighbor of the Beast. Hail to you. Hope you're having a good one this morning. I saw Kendra L as well. Hello, honey. Good to see you. And Billy Duncan, welcome. Great to see you as well. Let me scroll back down and make sure we're not missing anybody. Squeaker Mouse, hey, sweetheart. Good morning. Hope you're having a good one as well. So, guys, what I thought we would do today, because it's a new film, and I know Dave Bob saw it, and I wanted to get his opinion on it because I know, Dave Bob, you are a huge fan of time travel movies. So I thought that this film is going to be something that grabs your attention.
Yes, very much so. I will just not giving a whole lot away. I will say this was a fun ride. This is something that anyone can enjoy. It's not, highbrow. It's not high, super great, cinema, but it's fun and it's so much. It has heart. That's what I'll say. It has a lot of heart.
It really did, and this was one of those films that I was a little bit skeptical about. One, it's a Netflix film.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit jaded with Netflix with what's happening at the moment. And this is also the second time that Ryan Reynolds and the director Sean Levy have worked together. Now, the other film I haven't seen, which was Free Guy, but you said that that was a pretty good film as well.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that one too. Of course, I'm a big Ryan Reynolds fan. I mean, the guy, he's very charismatic.
He is, isn't he? Yeah, there's something really. One, he's a good-looking guy, but I think he seems to come across as very personable when he in the roles, but especially in something like this, he's very self-aware. I think is the best way to put it. Ever since he played Deadpool, he seems to have this kind of cockiness about him that kind of translates into all of his other roles. I'm not sure if he's always had it and I didn't notice it, or whether it's just something that's kind of evolved since he played that character.
I'm not real sure, but I will say one thing. When you see Ryan Reynolds uh, he doesn't have a whole lot of differences when he does different parts. He's Ryan Reynolds. You know, that's him.
Yes, absolutely. And Daniel says how Ryan Reynolds is Reynolds in it. Very would be the best way to put it. But that's not a bad thing. I think that it works very well in this film because, as you say, it does have a lot of heart. Now, this is a film that, at least for me, seemed to borrow on a lot of tropes from 80s films. It was very kind of reminiscent of films that we've seen in the past. Things like Flight of the Navigator, The Last Starfighter, Star Trek. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it has a lot of the aspects of that, and it also the cast, the people that they cast in this movie, except for one exception, and I'm not going to mention his name, but
You can mention his name. It's okay. We're on the same page.
Ruffalo. I cannot stand that guy. But anyhow, other than that, all the cast, they had very good chemistry through the whole movie. It was well acted, and they picked the perfect kid to play Ryan Reynolds as a child. That's all I'm going to say about that. That kid was Ryan Reynolds.
They really did. I was surprised by this kid, and obviously he's a new actor. I don't recognize him from anything else. It's a kid by the name of Walker Scobell, but yeah, it was like you got Ryan Reynolds and shrunk him down. It was amazing.
Yeah, mini me.
It was literally a mini me, and you can tell that, as you say, the cast had a really great chemistry together, and we got Jennifer Garner back, who I haven't seen for ages, and she looks great.
Yeah, she's a good looking woman. As I always said, one of the first things, was Alias, that she was in, and then she played opposite Ben Affleck in Daredevil as
Electra. Yes.
Electra. Boy, did she have a spanky behind. Woo!
Down, boy. Not saying you're not wrong, but hell yes. But she still looks great. I was really impressed with her, I've got to admit, and she plays the mom really well in this film. Just quickly, we have got another member chat, and it is from the man himself, Mexican Iron Man. Good morning, Papi. He says, "Look at me, I've been here a year already. Yay!" And yes, I will take a purple for my gift basket. Thank you so much, Mike. Good morning. Great to see you, as always. We've got a couple more people that have joined us. We've got Aldrich Lord Haster, good morning. And States Manuel, great to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. And Nearsighted Cyclops and Louise, hello, sweetheart. Good morning. So, just to get into a little bit more of the plot before we kind of really talk about the actors, we were saying that this is very kind of reminiscent of films that have been done in the past. Do you think that was intentional? Do you think that they were paying homage to these sort of films? Because it's been a while since we've had a really good time travel film.
Yeah, without a doubt. They hit on so many tropes in science fiction, and just, there's Easter eggs all the way through this thing, just mentioning of things, and it really, just sitting there, just picking all that stuff out, it was enjoyable to me. I actually went back and watched it a second and third time just so I could, pick up on, there's nuances in there that you just don't pick up on the first watch.
There is. I was surprised, and one of the things that also surprised me, because this is a Netflix film, I was surprised how good the CGI was. The design of the ships, I thought, looked great as well.
Yeah, the CGI was great, and and whatever practical effects they had were very good too. And honestly, they had certain aspects of it should have been. I mean, they were so cinematic. I would have loved to have seen this in the theater, just so that I could have seen it on a big screen. I would have loved to have seen that in theater.
Yes, I was thinking that as well, and it was a good point when you brought it up. I was thinking, you know what, this would have actually worked really well on the big screen, especially, as a kids' film, because this is very PG-13. There's a little bit of kind of danger, a little bit of drama, but there's nothing too scary for kids. So I think it would have worked really well, especially if they kind of released it either during the summertime when the kids were off school or kind of around Easter time. I think they would have done well with it.
Yeah, definitely. I was impressed with just the scope of the film because, like I said, I haven't seen a good time travel film in a long time, and they actually, aspects of it were a little too strident, especially with Mark Ruffalo's part. I know it was written, but I can't know anything. I can't know, kind of like old Doc from, Back to the Future.
He kind of looked like him as well, didn't he? Because he had that kind of wild hair and kind
Yeah.
of crazy look going on. Yeah. Well, of course, that just could be Mark Ruffalo because he seems to be going in that direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me just say a very quick thank you, but much appreciated to Mexican Iron Man. He sends us a $10 super sticker. Thank you, puppy. And it's a pair and it says #1 fan. Thank you so much. It's always good to see you, Mike. Hope you're having a good morning at the moment. I know you're working really hard. Thank you so much for joining us. You said that this was kind of a very reminiscent of films you've seen before. Do you think that this is something that would be good for kids? Would you say would you take like grandkids to it? Is this something that you would recommend for them, or do you think it was a little bit too adult?
I would say, kids from, maybe 12 or 13 up,
Mm-hmm.
it may be a little bit over some of the younger kids, but definitely there's nothing in there that, is something that they shouldn't see, and they would probably enjoy it. I know my grandson probably would. If he comes over, I'm probably going to sit down with him and watch it. I watch a lot of science fiction with him. I'm trying to, steer him in the right direction.
Teach him the ways, Dave Bob.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he's really into cinema, isn't he? If I remember correctly. So I think that this is something that he would definitely enjoy. And I would love to kind of hear his take on it as well from somebody who is about the same age as the kid in the movie. I think that's why, at least for me, when we were watching films back in the 80s, they work so well. If you think back to like Back to the Future or E.T., we had these great sci-fi films growing up, and I think this has the potential to do that as well. It's already become one of the highest rated films on Netflix.
Well, it deserves it. Honestly, like I said, it was a fun ride, start to finish. It starts out, just on the edge of your seat, action, and and it ends pretty much, the same way right there at the end. Well, not the very end, but the conclusion of the drama part of it anyway.
Yes, and it was pretty fast paced. This is about what, an hour and 45 minutes,
Yeah,
thereabouts. Yeah,
yeah. You didn't have a whole lot of time just to sit around and think about things going slow, because I mean, from scene to scene, it was well paced, well cut. The action scenes were great, and the comedy parts, the dialogue between the characters, it was just, I mean, that kid, I mean, very first time, the very first time you see him, he's getting his ass kicked,
and this is a recurring theme throughout
Yeah.
the film as well,
Yeah,
which is pretty
he's got a
damn funny.
mouth. Just put it this way: he's got a mouth on him, and it's just like Ryan Reynolds. I mean, as Deadpool, that mouth just goes constantly.
But that's the great thing about it. You said the chemistry that they have, and they really did play off each other really well. I've seen the outtakes from this as well, and you could see that the cast were having a great time, which I think makes a huge difference when filming. Um, it seemed like Reynolds, Ruffalo, Gardner, the kid, even Catherine Keener, who plays the bad person in this film, seems to have a great kind of chemistry together. Even Zoe Saldana was in this. Now she's not in it for very long, but she still makes an impact when she's on screen.
Oh yeah, you can't look away when she's on screen. She definitely has a presence.
The chat are recommending some really great films in the as well. Psychodwarf says Time After Time with with
Oh
Malcolm
yeah,
McDowell.
love that one with what's her name? I can't remember her name.
It'll come to you in about 3 o'clock in the morning when you don't
Yeah.
need it. It's always the way. States Manual says, I recommend time travel film 41. Now, I've heard
Yep.
of that, but I haven't seen it.
That's a good one too. Yep. Love that one. Heck, I was talking to Purple here before in the back room, and we were talking about some of the great science fiction shows or movies and whatnot, that have come along. We were talking about, ever since I was a kid, and that was a long time ago. You were talking, back in the early 60s. Time travel has always fascinated me from the first time I saw The Time Machine. And who hasn't seen that, that classic movie with
Yes.
Rod. Man, my brain's mush this morning.
It's
But
the hour time difference. That's the problem.
yeah, and ever since then, anytime I see a time travel movie that has any aspect of time travel in it, I'm there. I don't care if it's good or if it's bad, and there's been a lot of bad ones. Don't get me wrong. There's some of them that were pretty much stinkers, but the Back to the Future movies, oh my goodness. That's classic stuff right there. And it kind of touched on in this one, with Biff, and it was it was kind of funny, like I said, there's all kinds of little mentions, and yeah, Rod Taylor. There you go.
Thank you, guys. See, the chat knows. The chat always knows.
Yeah.
I liked it, and like I said, because there were so many kind of nods to different films, it was done in a way that wasn't kind of taking away from those films. It was almost like an homage. It was like a wink to the audience. It's like, you remember this film? Well, we're just going to kind of take this little bit and put it into our film, but we're not going to make fun of it. We're going to incorporate it and kind of use it to elevate our film. And I thought it worked really well.
Yep. Mary Steinberg, and that's who it was, with Roddy, with McDowell in that movie. That's who it was.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, Time After Time or whatever it was. I can't even remember the name of the movie now.
It was Time After Time. And Mexican Iron Man, thank you. He says, so excited to hear the two of you talk about something that is enjoyable from Hollywood. It's exhausting to always complain. Thanks for this show. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. Thank Dave Bob for this one. I saw him tweet about it a couple of days ago and thought, you know what? Dave Bob's so well versed when it comes to sci-fi and time travel films. I've got to get his opinion on this. And I'm glad I did, because I enjoyed the film, and it was one that I wasn't entirely sure that I was going to. I was a little bit skeptical. I thought it's either going to be, the standard Netflix film, too many overblown special effects, but no kind of heart to it, or it's going to be Ryan Reynolds, and it's just going to focus on Ryan Reynolds, but it didn't, and I'm really, really pleased.
Yeah, if you want to see a show that, like I said, has heart and is fun and something that you can enjoy and not, have your head beat against the wall with different things. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be a few references to things in there that aren't all that great. A little bit of environmental stuff in there, but other than that, it's a good great show. Great movie.
It is. It absolutely is. Just quickly, let me say, Brandon, thank you. You didn't have to. Brandon's just tipped $10. Thank you so much, Brandon. I will check in just a minute to see if you've left a message. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We've had a couple of reviews come through that I didn't want to read too many of, because I don't like having people's kind of opinions in my head until I've watched the film. A few people have said that this is a film that's trying to be something that it's not. A couple of people have said it's too much of a Ryan Reynolds based film. You know, he seems to be going down the route of what Adam Sandler did, and just kind of playing the same role in all of his movies. Do you think that that's true?
Well, there's aspects of it. You know, Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds. You know, he can't get out of his own self. I mean, he is a funny guy. Every movie that I've ever seen him in, I don't care what it's been, from rom-coms to whatever, you know, he comes across the same way, which is realistically, it's kind of like, I don't know, Keanu Reeves. You know, you gotta love the guy. I mean, everything he plays in, you just, you know, it's him.
Yes. And I think that's why it works so well. One, because he makes a really good leading man. You know, he's charismatic. He's very good looking, but he's willing to kind of make fun of himself as well, which he does quite a bit in this film. It's very kind of tongue-in-cheek humor, especially when he's interacting with his younger self.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the best lines that we have in this film are when the two of them are kind of going at it head to head.
I'm gonna tell you what, that kid holds his own too, which
He
is
really does.
it's hard to believe, but he holds his own against old Ryan Reynolds. There's no two ways about it.
And I think that's all credit goes to the presumably Sean Levy who cast this, the director. You know, they really went out of their way to find people that worked well together. This is a film that, weirdly enough, has been in production since 2012. Back then, Tom Cruise was actually attached to be the star. It happened that it fell into development hell, and the rights were kind of banded back and forth over the years until Netflix finally acquired the distribution rights, and then they started filming in November 2020.
Yeah.
So this film it wraps up pretty quickly since they finished filming in March.
Yeah, especially, you know, the way everybody else is pushing everything off and blaming certain things for it, and it's always the same thing. But yeah, they did a good job wrapping this thing up in a timely manner, right? From the time they started the actual, not from 2012, but when they actually, Netflix got the rights and started the process. You know, it was completed pretty quickly.
It was, and it just goes to show, you know, a lot of studios are bringing out, as you said, certain excuses for things that have happened, for reasons to push their films back. But it's kind of refreshing to see a film just be made, be released, and still be good quality.
Yes, and I just like it that I can see a film that I enjoy, and I don't have to, you know, be berated about something and get my head beat over, get beat over the head by somebody's, you know, worldview or politics. You know, let's just have films that have a little bit of humor in them and good acting and a good story. That's all we ask for, and this had it all, really. I mean, like I said, it's not highbrow. You know, it's not Oscar material or anything like that. But if you want to see a good feel good film, this is one that you definitely need to put on your list.
I would absolutely agree with that. Daniel, thank you, honey. He sends us a $2 super chat. He says, does this feel like something pre-2000 or post?
I don't know. It's some aspects are pre 2000, but there's definitely stuff after 2000. You know, as far as effects and stuff like that.
I would say it had a kind of, I know we keep going back to this, but it did have the 80s feel, from,
Yeah.
kind of the Spielberg era of films where he was making them for kind of kids and young adults. I had that kind of feel from it, and the Disney films that we've had, the live action Disney films from the 80s as well. The one thing it wasn't, and Dave Bob mentioned it as well, it wasn't preachy. There's no kind of real underlying message that they're trying to force across with this. There's a couple of mentions of environmentalism and that sort of thing, but it's not heavy-handed.
Yep, without a doubt. And the what was the lady that played the heavy?
Oh yes, Soren. Yeah,
she did a great job. I enjoyed her rendition of it. It was it's hard to believe how much they changed her appearance from one to the next. From her younger self to her older self. That was kind of impressive too.
It was, yeah. Catherine Keener played a great villain in this, and I was surprised. I haven't seen her in much recently. I recognised her when I saw her, but she played a really good role. And as you say, she was one of the few that actually, they did the time to make her look different. Whereas Ryan Reynolds, they just kind of shave his beard off.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny. But you don't mind because, you're kind of used to it. People are saying in the chat that they really like Ryan Reynolds. Bob Martin said, I even like Ryan Reynolds in Green Lantern, even though I hated the movie.
I'm not going to give anything away terribly, but that part when he first got into the house with his younger self, and he every time he coughed, he had a bullet wound and it was fart. I know that's lowbrow humor there, but good God, you can't help but just laugh your ass off at it.
It was funny. It's like, and some of the one-liners that they come out with, and it's not just Reynolds that gets all the good lines. The kid gets some good lines, though. So Dana gets some good lines against him as well. She kind of holds her own. Even the bad guys, have some great one-liners. One of the scenes that I really loved, I think it's quite early on in the film. His younger self is getting picked on by bullies, and basically Ryan Reynolds tries to give him kind of a pep talk. He says, what you've got to do is face them. They're gonna just keep going at you if you don't do something about this. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna square off against them, and then you're gonna drop down, and then you're gonna punch him in the nuts.
I think he said the private, the bathing suit private parts or something.
Exactly. Yes. The bathing suit department. Yes.
Yeah. You had to lose this fight. You had to.
And I was wondering, watching that scene, he obviously knew what the outcome was going to be. He knew that the kid wasn't going to listen. But again, it's such a good scene where he's just trying to coach his younger self. And this is early on when they're not really kind of gelling. They're not getting on very well. There's friction between them because obviously they are the same person.
Yeah, when the kid realizes that's him in the future, he just kind of you knew how to close the refrigerator door.
Yes.
Got that scar on your chin, and you're wearing my dad's watch. This watch. Both of them had the same watch on.
I did like it as well when he wears one of the jackets, and
Yeah,
later on in the film it's mentioned. I think it's Mark Ruffalo. He says that jacket looks ridiculous on you.
yeah, it's too tight. And he said, "No, it's not." And he said, "Oh, I can't remember what the exact quote was, but it was something like you're about to pop out of it like a zit or something."
It said he looked like a condom with buttons.
Yeah, that was it.
So that's just some really good kind of off the cuff one liners that pop up throughout this film. Colin says, given what I've seen of the story, I'm guessing the bad father trope is happily absent.
It's that's kind of it's kind of there in a sense, but also it's not there. I mean, it's kind of weird. You have to see it.
Yes, I've got to admit, this film had a lot of heart. I didn't kind of get particularly emotional about it, but they did know how to kind of tug on the heartstrings, especially as the film kind of winds down.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I was surprised. I thought that was handled really, really well.
Yeah, that scene with him and his younger self at the motel out there at the picnic table when he has the beer. When he has the beer, that right there, the kid kept reaching for it.
Nope, nope,
Nope,
nope, nope, not
nope.
for you. Statesman Well has a question, Dave Bob. He says, Dave Bob sounds a lot like Bob in Disney's The Black Hole back in 1979. Is that intentional?
Well, it's not intentional, but it has been noted by many people. And when I originally was on YouTube, all starting about 7, 8 years ago, my avatar was Bob, oh Bob, and it was picked up by Coach over at Echo Base Network, and he had me do a little deal with me being Bob's voice, and I've done that a couple of times, and you'll see it on Loki's intro in the morning. Sometimes you'll say I'm uh, the other robot is saying it's not for kids, and I'm just telling you to subscribe and all that stuff.
So, yes and no, I think would be the best way to answer that.
Yeah,
But
well,
yes.
no, this is the real me, but I do sound a little bit like Slim Pickens, so I will admit that.
I love it. It always makes me smile. Leia Rose said the lightsaber look-alike scene with the younger version of himself. That was fun. He keeps throughout the film keeps bringing up this thing that Reynolds has this weapon. He keeps saying, "Dude, that's a lightsaber."
Yeah. Is that a lightsaber? No, it's not a lightsaber. And when he finally wields it, he said, "Dude, that's a lightsaber."
And good afternoon. Good to see you. He says Ryan Reynolds, and he ever plays Ryan Reynolds. Charming, yet lacking in nuance. Good to see you, Gibbering Gibbons. I would agree with that. But he is so charming. He gets away with it, especially in something like this. Now, do I think that he could go back to doing really serious films like Buried? I think he would struggle. Because he's kind of got himself into this kind of jokey, smart aleck sort of character. But he can act. He can do the serious roles as well.
Oh yeah, he's been in a few of them.
And good to see you, TZ Burton. Good morning, guys. It's great to see you. And Claude Parrish, hey. He said the kid is a good mini-me for Ryan Reynolds. That's exactly what he was.
Yep. They did a perfect job in casting him. There's no doubt about it.
I would definitely like to see more of this kid. I hope he goes on to do great things because he's got a lot of talent. He's got great comedy timing. He's very he's got that kind of charisma. He's very kind of cocky. I think he's going to go on to be a really successful actor.
Yeah, he's got a talent for it. He's got a knack for it. He's a natural. I mean, I don't know how long he's been into the acting scene, but if this is one of the first things he's done. All I have to say is he nailed it.
He did. He absolutely did. And there's a kind of, I suppose it's like a promo that they did for the film with Kraft mac and cheese, where he's supposed to be saying this particular line that they've given him, but he keeps saying these more and more bizarre lines. And in the end, Ryan Reynolds has to take him aside, and they just kind of beep out everything that he says to him, like he's swearing at him. He says, "Get it together." It's just so funny. It's a really great little skit that they did. Great to see you, Corey DB. Hello there. And Daniel says, enjoyable time travel movies require good writing because the very nature of time travel makes people think in a way other genres might not. What would you say about that? Because you're, I would say, the expert when it comes to time travel films, because you've given so many good recommendations in the past.
Well, time travel is a pretty thorny situation. I mean, there's always, paradoxes and this and that. And this one touches lightly on it. As far as, just strict time travel, being able to do this and do that. The general premise is, you can't change anything in the past, because if you do, it's going to change the future. And this one, has that aspect written into it, but it's not as just hidebound as some of the other, time travel stuff. I think that they did a decent job with time travel mechanics in this one. It was believable, and it was also something that you could kind of relate to. And I've seen some of the time travel movies, which are just have totally different mechanics.
Needlessly complicated.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Especially, the one with the last decent Marvel movie. that one was pretty damn well overcomplicated.
It was, yeah. And this film, the Adam Project, like you say, it uses kind of time travel tropes. It explains it pretty well. We loved the design of the ships. I loved that they kind of cloak. I thought that looked great. Some of the weapons that they brought out were kind of futuristic, but not so much that the average person couldn't pick them up and figure out how to use them. I mean, if a 12-year-old can figure out how to use this lightsaber, I think pretty much everybody could.
Yeah. That one scene when the kid gets a hold of the lightsaber is a hoot too. I'm not going to say anything about it, but it was typical, and it was exactly what would have happened if that would really had happened.
Yes. With me, the way that they described this kind of time travel reminded me very much of something like Planet of the Apes. It was that kind of setup.
Yeah, definitely.
And hello, great to see you, Salty Texas C. States Manuel said, loved Slim Pickings, by the way. We've had another member chat. Great to see you. Thank you so much. It is from Manowar665, neighbor of the beast, who has been with us for 10 months. He says, ooh, piece of candy. Thank you. Thank you so much, love. I appreciate that. Daniel says Black Hole is a great movie. It really is. I haven't seen that film for such a long time.
I think that was in what, 79?
Yes, I think so. It bears a rewatch, absolutely. Claude Parrish asks, did they consciously cast actors familiar from the Marvel movies? I was wondering that as well, because these are actors that have all worked within the MCU. Most of them have worked together. Do you think that made a big difference? I mean, clearly they had the chemistry together because they already knew each other.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if they consciously did it or if it was something that, just happened organically, because those were the actors that, they thought would do the best in the roles. I really don't know.
Yes, I would be curious. I mean, as we say, I think most of them have worked together on various projects. Even Mark Ruffalo and
Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Garner, yes. I've worked on a film that involved time travel that Dave Bob reminded me of, and I completely forgot existed.
Yeah.
13 going on 30. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
I used to like that film. I thought it was a pretty good film. Back in the day, even though
Yeah,
it had
back
Mark
before I
Ruffalo.
found out what Mark Ruffalo was really like in real life.
And I don't mean to bash him, you know. He's just somebody that I can't gel with. I even, you know, it's separating the art from the artist. I just don't like him. I didn't like him in
Yeah.
the MCU films, and I don't like him in real life. But that's okay. He's serviceable in this film.
Yeah, yeah. He's the kind of one of the type of people that, you know, I had, you know, there are some movies, you know, that I've seen him in that I enjoyed the roles he played, and he does a decent job. But nowadays, I just kind of see him filtered through a different lens, so, you know, kind of soured me on him. But I don't know, you know, you get old,
Yes.
you get contrary.
Is there anybody that you would have rather seen him in that role? Because I thought Sam Neill would have been a good fit, because he's
Yeah,
got that kind of older actor.
yeah, Sam Neill, or, you know, somebody. Honestly, you know, there's several other people that could have played the part, but, you know, like I said, he's in it, and he did a decent job. I'm not saying he didn't do a good job. He did a credible job as an actor, and he even, you know, had some pretty funny parts in it. But
He did, yeah, especially when you get the three of them together later on in the film. There's some really good kind of back and forths between them,
yeah,
which are kind of elevated. I think that's the one thing that really kind of shone. It was it was the writing, it was the dialogue, and it was the special effects. That really kind of lifted this film from what would have been kind of a mediocre, maybe, forgettable sci-fi film to something that I would actually recommend and I would go back and watch again.
oh yeah, love that movie. I honestly, this is probably the best movie I've seen so far this year, and that's saying a lot.
That is high praise, considering. I mean, I know we're still pretty early on but we've had a couple of pretty big blockbusters come out. But I can't help but agree with what you said earlier. I think that this would have had a much bigger reach and a much more, a lot more people would be talking about it had they released it in the cinema, even if it was on a shorter run and streamed it at the same time.
Yep, like I said, I would have enjoyed seeing this in the theater. I think the cinematics, it deserved a theatrical release just from the cinematic aspect of it, the special effects and whatnot. I would have enjoyed seeing it in the theater myself.
Absolutely. And let me say thank you to Salty Texas C and good morning. He sends us a 199 super chat. He says, Matt Reeves in Time After Time, best time travel movie. I really like that film, and Dave Bob was talking about it as well in the green room, and I think it's one of those that we really need to go back and rewatch because I haven't seen it for years.
I'm trying to remember. There was another time travel movie that I saw back I guess it was back in the 70s or the early 80s. It had Christopher Reeve and what's her name? The one that played Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Oh God, I used to love that show. That was one of my guilty pleasures back in the day.
Anyhow, he somehow or another he had some kind of penny, and he went back in time and met her. It was a strange film, but it was a time travel film, and I enjoyed it because I like time travel.
Yes, I'm gonna say it's it's one of those kind of tropes that sci-fi films have kind of gone away from in recent years. So I'm really glad that we've had a really good example come back. And
Yeah,
we had
Jane
things like
Seymour.
Jane
Jane
Seymour.
Seymour.
Thank you, guys. See, I knew the chat would know. We've had things like The Time Traveler's Wife. We had Wrinkle in Time, which got panned because it apparently it wasn't a very good film. But I'm just glad that we've now got something like this that kind of really holds up. Daniel says, no, please bash Ruffalo all you want. Okay, we will. Come to Rise and Shine for all your Ruffalo bashing.
We were talking about some other good science fiction films and time travel, and one with Denzel Washington, Deja Vu. That was a very good film. I enjoyed that. And Source Code with what's his name? I can't. Man, my brain's mush this morning.
Yeah, I mean we've had some other weird ones. What was that one? Out of Time, I think, was not particularly great. Looper was actually pretty good. I thought Looper was a good film.
Looper was decent. Yeah, I enjoyed Looper. I don't know. Like I said, you said you haven't seen it, but there's a kind of a quirky. It's got time travel aspects in it, and the whole way through the movie, you really don't know what's going on. But it's called Safety Not Guaranteed. That's a good one. And if you haven't seen it, put it on your list.
I will add that to my list. And let me say a massive thank you and warm welcome to the lovely Apollomies minion who has joined. Thank you, sweetheart. Much love to you and Truck Dog, as always. Hope you're having a good morning. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And good morning to Project Storytime, who is number one. Good to see you, as always. States Manuel says The Lake House is one of my time travel guilty pleasures.
Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock.
And Gibbering Gibbons says Looper was Ryan Johnson. He did The Last Jedi. That movie is forever tainted.
Yeah. There you go.
I still like it as a film, but yes, and then you remember what came after.
Oh yeah, yes, Archer. I did. I that was one of my favorite shows. 7 Days.
Ah, yes, 7 Days. There we go. I was trying to find the comment. I don't think I've seen that, but I think I've heard you talk about it in the past, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I brought it up several times. Had great actors on it too. I enjoyed it. I also remember another good one. You remember Timeline?
Yes, I remember Timeline. Yeah,
that's a classic right there. I love that movie.
Apparently, a lot of people like the remake of Lost in Space as well. I watched the first season. I thought it was okay, but I'm not sure what the rest of the season was like.
Oh,
like
I think they concluded it here this last go round.
That sounds about right. They always do. It's like I think it was one of those that started off strong but kind of drops off.
Yeah.
Larry, good to see you. He says Bid Time Return novel by Richard Matheson. And good morning to Isaj Melody as well. Good to see you.
Quantum leap for the wind is what Gibbering Gibbons says.
Yes. Isn't that being remade, if I remember correctly? We're going to
get they're in talks about remaking it, and they're going to butcher it. They're going to put modern day crap in it, and they're going to butcher it, just like they're butchering Picard right now with the time element in that. God have mercy.
I've got to admit, I haven't watched any of Picard, so I'm guessing unless you're a die-hard fan, you wouldn't recommend?
I wouldn't recommend anything that Kurtzman's put out. I mean, I've watched it, and all I've done, after I finish is I beat my head against the wall, and then wonder why the hell I subject myself to it. But,
You've got a streak of masochism in you, Dave Bob.
I guess.
Claude Parrish brings up a couple of good ones as well. He said in Timeline, Billy Connolly played Paul Walker's dad. The accent skipped a generation. And the Bill and Ted films were fun. They were fun.
Yep.
I didn't see the newest one, but I heard it was definitely worth a watch. Archer Collins says, Dave Bob, well, the casting calls for the main characters are all, I hear, non-white.
Of course.
Oh dear. I don't understand why they have to remake these films and TV series. I know why they do it, from a financial and that sort of standpoint, but as a fan of these shows, you can't beat the originals most of the time.
Yep. Yep. I tell you what, every time I see that something's being rebooted, or as the vernacular nowadays is reimagined,
yes,
I go, oh my God, and characters that are in these series. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was when Battlestar Galactica was remade, and I saw that they were making Starbuck a woman. I was a little ticked off about it, but they brought something to the table with that, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I mean, but nowadays they're doing it not for any other reason other than just shock value or to piss people off. I do believe.
Mm-hmm. It does seem to be the way, especially as you say, when they do these remakes, they seem to be very antagonistic towards the older generation of fans that grew up with the original. We've talked about it many times with different IPs. They're always looking for this new audience that doesn't really seem to exist.
Nope. They're searching for a unicorn.
And Gun Bunny brings up a really good point. She says, just digitally remastered and the sound being made better and release those, for the most part, I will buy them. Absolutely. You remaster and, freshen up any of the original shows and people will go back to them because that's what they love.
Oh yeah, there's talks now of actually redoing Buck Rogers of the 25th century and everything else.
Oh God. And this is from someone who has been a lifelong sci-fi fan, haven't you? So you've kind of these shows, these films. How frustrating is it to have them remade or reimagined?
There's been a bunch of them.
And Claude Parrish says, I have a theory about the remake craze. No creative person wants to give their ideas over to a corporation that will immediately forget who bought them to the dance, aka you don't own your own creations. I would agree with that, to be honest. Absolutely. He also says Disney used to re-release their movies all the time. Yes, they did. Yes, especially the animated movies. Whenever Don Bluth used to have an animated film, funny enough, Disney would re-release one at the same time.
Yeah, Disney. They used to, put their films in the vault, and for a while, and then whenever they'd bring them out, after a while, after people hadn't seen them in a while, and people were, enjoying this. They'd even bring them out to the theaters. I mean, it worked because they were classics.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Louise says Lost in Space is one of the few remakes I think is worth watching. I would agree with that. From what I've heard, it was a good remake. Like I said, I watched the first season, but because of various reasons, I haven't gone back and finished them, but I probably will. I like the design of the robot. I thought it was cool. I didn't like the film that they did, though. That was terrible back in the day. Trying to remember when that came out. It was a while ago.
Our William Hurt was in that film too.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. Rest in peace, William Hurt. Man, I hate to hear that he passed away yesterday. That kind of hit me because he's not a whole hell of a lot older than I am.
That was sad. And he was such a good actor as well. You know, he's one of those really versatile actors. He was pretty much, you know, great in anything that he was in.
Yep, guaranteed.
But he will absolutely be missed. I was surprised yesterday as well when people were talking about it and tweeting about it. I was like, oh, 2022 sucks. It really does.
Howdy doody reboot.
Don't give them any ideas. It'll happen.
Yeah, you're gonna have Mr. Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Green Jeans out there before you know it.
Larry says that every 7 years, a new generation was ready for a re-release of Disney movies, theatre and video. Yes, I remember collecting all of the VHS Disney films back in the day. Yeah, rest in peace, William Hurt, absolutely. Brandon said 96 for Lost in Space. I thought Dave Bob was right, absolutely. Yeah. Before we wrap up, and I know we haven't kind of really gone into the plot, but I didn't want to give too many spoilers away because I think that this is a film that people really will enjoy, and I think it's one that I would recommend. What would you give it out of 10?
Oh, I'd give it definitely 8 out of 10. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I would be inclined to agree. I would give it a probably 7.5, 8. Just kind of flipping back and forth. I thought the cast was great. They really had good chemistry. For a Netflix film, it looked great. You know, the special effects weren't overblown. Especially later on in the film, there's this great set piece inside of a lab that looks fantastic. I was really impressed with that. I loved the design of the ships. I was just entertained and I was surprised, and I love when a film does that, especially nowadays, because we don't get it very often.
You got that right. I was pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I saw the trailer for it and I said, "Well, that's, you know," I was kind of hesitant about watching it because you know, the way things are, especially on Netflix nowadays. And then when I actually saw the movie, I had to give it a thumbs up. That's for sure. And for me, 8 out of 10 is high praise.
It is, yeah. Dave Bob is very, very selective when it comes to his film because he knows what he's talking about. So if Dave Bob gives it anything above a 6, you know it's got to be good. Isn't that right? George Hilton says, I'll check it out then since it's been so highly recommended. I think so. Guys, if you do, just let me know in the comments what you thought of it. I would love to see what, if anybody watches it, what you guys think as well. But I absolutely agree with Dave Bob. I was pleasantly surprised and it was entertaining, and I didn't expect it to be. And so much so that I'm going to go back and watch the other film that they that they worked together on. Free Guy, which you said was worth a watch as well.
Oh yeah, Free Guy's it's another fun one. It's not, you know, like I said, it's not high cinema, but definitely worth a watch.
And that's it. That's the message that we keep saying, isn't it, though? You know, it doesn't have to be a cinematic masterpiece. It just has to be entertaining and non-preachy. That's pretty much all we ask for at the moment with entertainment.
Yeah, just give us a good story that's fun and people will come watch.
Hell yes. Could not agree more. Before we wrap up and let people get on with their Monday, what have you got coming up, Dave Bob?
I just usually hang out with Loki on Friday mornings. That's pretty much it.
Cool. We keep trying to convince Dave Bob to start a channel.
Too old.
I think you would do brilliantly if you did, but
I'm on Medicare now.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. A huge thank you to Dave Bob for being such a fantastic co-host. I couldn't have asked for a better person to talk to this about. It's like I say, if there's sci-fi, Dave Bob is my go-to guy. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you asking me, and I love your show and enjoy everything you do.
Thank you so much. And guys, thank you in the chat as well. You guys were on fire as always. Let me say a massive thank you to everybody who joined us, to everybody who sent super chats, to super stickers, member chats. Thank you so very much, guys. I really appreciate it. This week is going to be a little bit up in the air because Purple is actually on walkabouts as of tomorrow. So there won't be any live streams, but there probably will be videos that I'll be putting out, and then I will be back to normal on Sunday. So it's a little bit up in the air, but there will still be content coming throughout the week. So guys, have a fantastic rest of your day. Have a wonderful week, and we will see each other very soon.
Y'all have a great day, folks.